I'm not even sure how to open up this video, to be completely honest with you guys. I'm a proud Apple fanboy. I love Apple products. I will always defend them. Example, I'm sitting in front of a $1,600 studio display. And I say that not for the point of flexing, but instead just saying that I would much rather pay more for an Apple product rather than pay, what was it, like $1,200 or $1,300 for the LG equivalent display, even though it's not even close to my opinion. I would gladly pay $2,500 for a MacBook Pro rather than paying like $1,500 for an equally spec'd Windows PC. Heavy on those quotes because you just cannot beat the M processors these days with Intel and everything. I would much rather pay $1,200 for something like an iPhone than say $600 or $700 for an equally spec'd Android phone. One of many cat hairs in this house. So anyway, I'm just going to sit down with you guys today and talk to you about everything that Apple announced today. Not everything, I should say. Not everything, because obviously they threw so much information at us. But instead, we're going to jump into my MacBook Pro like that. Look at that video editing magic. God, I love ScreenFlow. And we are going to talk about the Vision Pro. Now, I do have notes over here on my right that I wanted to talk about, but I think I'm putting all of that aside, except for one thing. Shout out to macOS Sonoma. There is one thing I'm extremely excited for. It seems basic, but honestly, I think I'm more excited for this feature than I am Vision Pro, and that's widgets on the desktop. That's huge. I've always been a big fan of widgets, even back in the days of Dashboard on macOS 10. Remember Dashboard? I think Dashboard came out with, what, macOS 10 Tiger or something like that. Man, I love Dashboard, and I cried on the inside when they took it away and they put everything up here like that. Yeah, it's cool, but it's not as easy as, showing that full screen dashboard view of your widgets. Now, thankfully with macOS Sonoma, I love that name, by the way, we are now going to have widgets on our desktop. Guys, I'm just a big fan of widgets, and I think it's so nice to quickly glance at information, whether it's something as simple as a calculator, because these are interactive widgets, maybe even something like an interactive clock, an alarm, email, because I'm always having my email up, whether it's my Mac or on my iPhone. For example, I have my email showing at all times in my primary widget. I love widgets, Anyway, that aside, let's talk about Apple Vision Pro. Come here. Full screen, please. Full screen, all right? Let's get deep here, guys. I'm a proud Apple fanboy. I've made that very clear. And I knew going in that this was not a device for me because of the rumored price tag, $3,000. It's not even that. It's $3,500. $3,500. And what blows my mind is Apple is advertising the Apple Vision Pro. I love the name, by the way, nice and simple. They're advertising the Apple Vision Pro as a productivity tool. Look, guys, I'm all for the future, but I'm going to sound kind of cocky when I say this. It's not that hard to be right about the industry. It's not that hard to predict what the average person wants, or even the prosumers of the markets, or education. Apple Vision Pro, I just don't see it being something that's big, I think of the Vision Pro as the Wii U of Apple. I think of it as a 3D TV of Apple. They're trying something new. It's cool. It's innovative. But is it really going to improve our day-to-day lives? I'm sorry, I can't see myself sitting down on a couch. Okay, well, hold on. Keep in mind, yes, this is very Minority Reports of Apple, and that I give them full respect for. The technology is incredible. I'm not saying it's not incredible. It's innovative. It seems intuitive. It seems easy to use. It just seems amazing all around. Apple definitely did their homework. I'm not arguing that. I'm not being negative or anything. I'm being realistic with you guys. I can't see myself sitting down on my couch or even my desk, putting this headset on, which, by the way, I think looks great. It looks great. It's packed with amazing tech. And working on my email, working on my Squarespace websites, using my hands, or even my mouse and keyboard while looking up. There is nothing wrong with looking at a display like this right in front of me and getting exactly what I need. And I think it's funny that Apple even showed photo editing apps as an example. Anyone who edits photos on even an average level knows that color accuracy is incredibly important. So with that said, how is Apple going to promise 100% color accuracy when you're editing a photo, color grading a video, anything having to do with color in AR that automatically blends in with the ambient light of your room? That's what I don't understand. Like, who is going to buy this thing and actually going to get real work done? Also, this feels like Stage Manager. It feels like it limits you in this really cool looking view. Please, don't get me wrong. It's a really cool looking view. It's very, very futuristic looking. But how realistic is it that you're going to be sitting on a couch for 2 to 3 hours at a time? The Vision Pro, its vision isn't too clear in my opinion. Okay, so anyway, with that said, let's jump back into my MacBook Pro, which is perfectly capable of video editing, photo editing, multitasking between my email and everything, like web browsing, Spotify, photos, everything I throw at this computer, it handles just fine. I don't have to worry about any kind of accuracy with my eyesight or my vision or my hand input. You know what I'm saying? Cool technology, but it's not needed. Oh, and by the way, I would love to be wrong. And at the risk of sounding cocky, I'm rarely wrong when it comes to predicting the outcome of this technology. You know, such as the whole live streaming thing with Google Stadia and this new PlayStation Q handheld, it's simply not needed. There's always going to be that input lag with gaming. But anyway, that aside, that's a whole other rant. All right, so for real, jumping back into my MacBook Pro, let's look at the website and see how Apple is advertising this to its general audience. I say general audience because when you go to apple.com, you never know who's browsing their website. You know, I mean, honestly, guys, it could be a college student, it could be a medical professor or whatever. You know, like there are so many different types of usage cases with this. So let's see how Apple is marketing / advertising this. Welcome to the era of spatial computing. Now, again, I gotta make this clear. I'm not dissing the technology. I think it's incredible. I think it's really cool. But I was hoping for more of an AR / VR interface. Anyway, scrolling down, you've never seen anything like this before. Yeah, that's true. Also, I have to mention, I'm not a big believer in AR. I would much rather Apple go the VR route / AR, but clearly they're so interested in AR. For your desktop and your apps will follow. Now, yeah, this looks really neat. It looks amazing, but we don't need it. You know, we simply don't need it. Sorry, I'm muting my phone there. What else do we have here? The ultimate theater wherever you are. Okay, this is where I'm completely with Apple. As a huge movie buff and as someone who loves good video and good audio, this I can completely get behind. This I love. I love the idea of sitting down on my couch and watching a movie within, millimeters or centimeters of my own eyes and having it look like a movie theater and in theory, spatial audio, like good spatial audio. But at the same time, nothing can beat physical surround sound and actual subwoofers in your living room, right? I mean, for anyone who has never experienced a sub or like a proper 5.1 setup in your room, I can't expect you to relate, but for those who do relate, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's nothing better than your house rumbling with Godzilla running down the road or whatever. Now, will you get a similar experience in AR? Potentially close, but nothing can beat physical surround sound. Okay, so anyway, photos and videos. This is cool. That I can definitely get behind. I get the personalization of it. Taking a photo and viewing the depth of that photo in AR is going to be really cool. But for what? 2 or 3 minutes? And then you go back to your phone and it just works perfectly. Now, I'm not going to say this isn't going to work perfectly. And please, I'm not trying to be like a Debbie Downer or a David Downer in this case. I'm just being real with you guys. You know, like a lot of people out there think I'm an Apple fanboy and I'll buy anything with an Apple product. But this is one product I can guarantee you I will not be buying anytime soon, at least close to its release. Price of $3,500. For that price, I'd rather buy a spec'd out Mac Studio and get some real work done. All right, so let's scroll down here, learn more about the design. The overall design, I think, looks really nice. I mean, it's definitely a very, very impressive piece of tech. It looks like the AirPods Max mixed in with like a Ready Player One headset, which is not a bad thing. All right, so here we go again with the apps. I don't get this. I don't understand the realistic fashion of getting work done in your living room when you can do the same thing on your MacBook Pro or maybe even like an iPad or your iPhone. I mean, the iPhone is so much more capable of getting real work done than you can on Vision OS. God, it sounds so negative, but yeah, I mean, you guys got to understand this announcement, it was cool, but it just feels like a big party trick to me. It feels like the Wii U of Nintendo. Again, cool technology. You're going to hear me say that a lot. But the actual usability of it is just not realistic, especially for the price. Now, for education, don't get me wrong. For education, this thing could be amazing. I think that could be downright incredible to kind of interact with a heart, as they showed, like the human heart. You could rotate it and pick it apart. That's really cool. That's really cool. I just don't see this being a big deal for consumers in their house. Now, this could be a great demo unit for maybe like a retail store you go to and you want to like, feel the product or see how it works by picking apart the components. I think that's amazing. It could be great in education as well as the medical field. I mean, this thing could be a breakthrough device in the medical field. But overall, I'm just not convinced, and I guess that's how I'll wrap this video. Honestly, guys, I usually have like a whole thing of video notes to show you, but it's just, I'm not ready for this product at its current price. And honestly, this might make you cringe. This introduction of the Apple Vision Pro alone makes me more interested in getting something like the Meta Quest, which is what, $800 or something like that? Meta Quest. And I'm not even a big Meta fan, but Meta Quest, let me see here. Meta Quest 2 on Amazon. Is it really only $300? Why is that so cheap? And why do I not own that at $300? That's incredibly cheap, incredibly cheap. And yes, I know they just announced the Meta Quest 3. Look at that. The 128 gigabyte headset starts at $500. And yeah, I get it. Before all the people plow my face with your opinions, I get it. Meta Quest is VR. Apple is AR. I understand that. But I just think there's so much more potential in VR than there is AR. And there's nothing wrong with AR. I've just never been excited about the LiDAR sensor in the iPad Pro. And I've never understood why Apple focuses so much time and attention in their keynote videos on AR. Because I guarantee you, the average person just doesn't care. And I don't consider myself the average person. I consider myself a prosumer. I use these things to make myself some money. I use these things to pay my mortgage, to edit my vlogs, all that stuff, These products are the backbone of my overall content creation. And I realize I'm just throwing words out there. And this is not an organized video by any means. I'm just kind of rambling. But guys, look at this. 128 gigabyte Meta Quest 3 for $500. Apple, I love you. I love you guys so much. I have given you thousands of dollars over the years. But I'm just not a believer. I'm not a believer, and I realize people are going to disagree. But again, at the risk of sounding cocky, I've been right in the past many times. I just don't see this taking off. And also, with that said, I know some people are going to say, well, David, you weren't a big believer in the iWatch before it was the Apple Watch. That I get. But once Apple showed the Apple Watch and they showed what it was capable of and how realistic it would fit into my daily life, I know, I'm not even wearing one today. I mean, yes, I actually wanted one. And I don't regret my purchase of the Apple Watch one bit. But something like the Apple Vision Pro, it's going to take so much more than what they showed today to actually convince me. So guys, there you have it. I'm sorry, this was not an organized video by any means. I realize some people are going to heavily disagree with my opinion, and that's perfectly fine. Let's not get into an argument over it. But I will say this. Let's come back to this video in 2 or 3 years and see where the headset stands. I just don't see this being as significant as something like the iPhone, iPad, or Apple Watch. It's amazing technology, but we're not ready for it. And I don't know if we'll ever be ready for it. And with that said, I am so excited to watch other YouTubers' videos and see what they think. Because I'm typically pro Apple, but in this case, I'm not convinced. Thank you guys so much for watching. What do you think about the Apple Vision Pro? And hey, ironically enough, I'll say it again, I think I'm more excited for desktop widgets and macOS Sonoma, sorry, mixing up my N's and M's, than I am Vision Pro. And I promise I'll make more videos about this in the future as, you know, the dust settles, and maybe I'll be more optimistic in future videos. But right now, this Apple fanboy, yeah, he's not convinced.